Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans and extraterrestrials, Big Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal had some interesting comments to make about LeBron James' recent decision to go join the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's dive in. Right before we do, be sure to hit that like and that subscribe button, as I would really appreciate it a lot for the channel. And let's see what Shaq had to say.
LeBron, he's going to go somewhere where he can win another ring. You know,
Miami?
Miami, Golden State, maybe even Philly. What we realize towards the end of our career is once we're done, we can never play again. So you never want to retire and say, I should have did this, I should have done that. He still has 2, 3 years left, I think. So kudos to him for trying to, align himself with a team where he can win another championship. That's what it's all about. A lot of these haters call it ring chasing, but yeah, you're supposed to be chasing rings because if you chase rings and you accomplish getting rings, that's what we call greatness. Those who haven't achieved greatness call it ring chasing because they haven't achieved greatness.
That's
Now, look, he made a very interesting point there that I kind of agree with. It aligns with the way that I think. And when you compare it to a lot of stars that are either still in the league or have just recently retired, it makes so much sense, right? Now, let's think about it for a second. Everybody, myself included, thought that LeBron James was about to go back to Cleveland or go back to Miami to run it back, right? Go win another one in Cleveland, go win another one in Miami, right? And then complete the storybook ending. But when you really think about it, unless you're from Cleveland, unless you're from Miami, unless you're genuinely a Miami Heat fan or a Cleveland Cavalier fan, the only reason why people are upset that he didn't go back to one of those cities is because we were wrong. Think about it. That's the what other reason do you have to be upset? Oh, it's he's ring chasing, this, that, and the third. When you're 41 years old, right? If your option is retire or keep competing, you might as well compete or continue to compete with your best chance of winning, right? Think about it like when Tom Brady went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It was by no means a super team, but everybody wanted to come play with him because, yes, he was about 40 odd years old, but you give yourself the best chance to win in what, in my opinion, was a very weak division in the NFC. Right? Even if he was to go meet the Patriots, it wouldn't be until the Super Bowl because he left the conference, right? The NFC South was very weak, but he wasn't criticized for going to a weak conference, a weak division, right? He completely left the AFC and then he went directly to the Super Bowl and won a championship. All right. Now you got to go and compete and give yourself the best opportunity to win while you still can. Now, just like Shaq said, the worst thing to do is look back after you've made that decision to retire and say coulda, woulda, shoulda, dulda. You don't want to be in that position, right? Look at somebody who was criticized about 10 years ago, Kevin Durant. Everybody remembers the decision when Kevin Durant left OKC and went to go sign with the Warriors, the team that just defeated him, right? And he got a lot of backlash about that. But let's fast forward now. It is no longer 2015, 2016. It's 2026, present day. And Kevin Durant has since left Golden State, gone to Brooklyn, gone to Phoenix, gone to Houston, and guess what? He still has 2 rings. When he was in Golden State, they won back to back, right? He signed a 2-year deal, upwards of $50 million, right? And then he was out of there. But guess what? Even if he doesn't win another ring, he won 2 again. He won 2 already. So no one can look at him and say he's ring chasing, right? When Kevin Durant signed with Phoenix, nobody accused him of ring chasing, right? When he went to Houston, nobody accused him of ring chasing. And you know why a lot of people like KD? Because he doesn't really give a shit. He does what he wants to do. But the reason why I bring this particular instance up is when he made that decision, he knew that there was going to be backlash and people are going to accuse him of, what did they call it? Cupcake or whatever the term was that they coined, of joining Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond in the Bay Area. And he was a part of that era where you were shocked if they lost. The team was just that good. It was stacked to the brim, right? But the bottom line is, in not 5, I don't believe he has 5 more years left, but let's just say he's got 2 or 3 more years, right? When he says, you know what, this is my last year, I'm going to retire, he's not going to look back and be like, man, I regret going to Golden State. Come on, that's one of the best decisions he's made, because now in the later stages of his career, in his mid to late 30s, he's already got 2 chips. I don't want to dive too deep because I actually have a ring chasing video planned to come soon. So make sure you subscribe. That should be coming out soon. Get those notifications on and be ready for that. But the reason I bring KD up again is he's the perfect example of when it's all said and done and you're about to hang up you're about to hang it up for the very last time. You're not going to look back and have regrets. You're not going to be like, oh man, what if I went over there? And if LeBron James was to go to Cleveland, let's just say Harden signed somewhere else. What if it doesn't work out with Donovan Mitchell? Right? What if he doesn't click with Donovan Mitchell? What if there's an injury? Right? LeBron James, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, right? Max Strus. What if it just doesn't work out? He doesn't want to look back in 2 to 3 to 4 years and say, man, what if I went and played with Embiid and Maxey? That's my boy. We brothers. I wonder what would have happened there. Or he has to sit back, get eliminated, and then look at the Philadelphia 76ers win the championship. All right. Now, there's a lot of different angles here. For example, I just saw Karl Malone celebrated his 62nd birthday or something like that. Right. This man has been retired for over 20 years. You don't think that at some point he's looking back at his career? He was loyal to the Utah Jazz up until the very end when he went over to the Lakers. And unfortunately, they fell short in the NBA Finals. But you don't think that sometimes he sits back and says, man, I love Utah. I love John Stockton. I love Jeff Hornacek, Greg Ostertag, Jerry Sloan. But you don't think at some point he considers, what if I did this? What if I left? Now, obviously, I'm not saying he would have went and joined Michael Jordan. I don't think he would have ever done that. But he would have probably thought, man, what if I went to this other Western Conference team that would have gotten us over the hump? Whoever they would have eliminated in the Western Conference Finals right before facing Michael Jordan over and over again, right? And I just don't think that LeBron James is considering what anybody, the media, the fans, what they think is a storybook ending. I think he's doing the best thing for him, which is to compete for a championship at the age of 41. He'll be 42 in 5 months. Just keep that in mind. And Shaq is completely right. A lot of people don't factor in this scenario, but you have to look at it through this lens. Not saying you have to step in LeBron James' shoes, but it's a better opportunity than Miami, right? You have Bam, you have Giannis, but you still have to fill out that roster. Who do you have in Cleveland? I personally don't think it would work to share the floor with Donovan Mitchell and James Harden, and Cleveland already made the decision with Donovan Mitchell with a long-term contract. But I just don't think that those rosters are ready to compete right now. And the last thing I want to say is, it's not like, for instance, let's say LeBron James didn't sign with the Philadelphia 76ers, and the latest news was Jaylen Brown got traded to the 76ers, right? Jaylen Brown, as of this recording, is 29, right? So let's say he signs a 4-year deal, right? When that 4-year deal is up, he's 33, 34 years old. 33, 34 years old, you still have some gas in the tank to say, let me continue the process and let's get one or two more pieces and let me finish my career in Philadelphia. Or he could say, you know what? I only have about 3 years left in me. Let me go somewhere else and win a championship over there. LeBron James is not in a situation where he's 29 years old and he can give it a few more years. It's now. The time is now, and he knows it. And the Philadelphia 76ers is the best opportunity to win right now. The roster is filled out. There's no real major acquisitions or holes that need to be filled in that roster. I believe they're about to get KCP, right? Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who he's won a championship back in 2020, and they're familiar with each other. They have a similar pedigree. And remember, KCP also won a second ring when he went over to Denver. So he's a proven winner. He's another veteran player that has championship experience, right? So now you have LeBron James, Jaylen Brown, and KCP all on that roster, 3 former champions, and they're gonna do they're gonna do the best they can to make Maxey a champion, to make Embiid a champion, and finally complete the process. The worst thing to do is to look back on your career and be like, what if I did this? What if I did that? Right? Again, I'm gonna drop a video very soon about this topic, but a few people that are gonna be considered are Paul George, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and you don't want to look back at your career and be like, man, I wish I did that. But let me know what you guys think about this topic in the comments down below. Again, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.